Yeah, so I'm Dan McDade. I do Dan McDade Fitness. That's my Instagram handle, and I also work full time as an exercise physiologist. I've been doing that for I think it's 12 years now. I've been doing that, and I've been coaching people for about 15 years now. So I've been doing that for a while. I live in North Carolina, and I have my wife Lauren, and I have three kids: Tucker, Callie, and Austin. And they're just my big driving force in life.
Well, and how old are Tucker, Callie, and Austin?
7, 4, and 3. So they keep us plenty busy all the time. It's nonstop around here.
Yeah, and you have a farm, right?
Yeah, that's something else that my wife and I have going on. So we are very busy. We live on 25 acres here in North Carolina, and yeah, we've got some cows. We've got a whole bunch of chickens, and just some other livestock as well. And we do, big garden, an acre or so. So yeah, we are busy nonstop. So yeah, our life is never boring.
No, it's not. And remind me of the name of your baby cow or of your pet cow.
Ginger.
Yeah, dude, yeah, she's so cute, man. Well, that's a perfect segue into this. By common standards, you don't have time to work out.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a really good point. So, that's something that I talk to a lot of my clients and everything. Everybody has, the same exact amount of hours in the day. You have the same number of hours that I have. All of our clients have the same number of hours in the day. People that are parents, every single one of us has exactly the same number of hours in the day to get stuff done. So the biggest thing is prioritizing it, and you don't have to have, and you know this to be true, you don't need to have 4 hours to work out. Sometimes as a parent, I tell other parents that, I work with, because that's predominantly who I work with is other parents. And, tell them it might be a 15 or 20-minute workout, and that's all you get some days, but that's better than nothing. So yeah, you have to make the best of your time because you don't have all day.
No, we don't. And that is a very good point. We all do have 24 hours. Now, everybody's 24 hours absolutely does not look the same, right? So, my 24 hours looks much different than one of my clients. My client's 24 hours looks much different than yours. How, when you mention priority, making exercise a priority, why is that such a priority for you when you have a full-time job, a coaching business, a wife, three beautiful dadgum children, and a gorgeous wife, might I add? No,
Thank
I'm
you.
not hitting on your wife. I might hit on you though. But and a pet cow and all these other things. How does it remain a priority? Why does that make it important? Why does it mean you make time? And does your family help that in some way, hinder that in some way? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, so I think the biggest motivator for me staying in good shape is simply just leading by example. One of the biggest goals that I have as a dad is for my kids to grow up thinking that exercising, working out, and being in good shape is the normal, and that people that don't do it are the weird ones. So there's even been a few times where I've just heard my kids, over, talking like with their kids, just overhear them, like with their friends, and they've made like comments before. Oh, your dad doesn't work out, like, and it's just like a question of like, that's weird, like why doesn't your dad work out? Like, doesn't he want to be strong? Doesn't your dad want to be in shape? That sort of thing, because it's just normal, every day that like I go to work out. My kids ask me like, because my schedule is a little different every day when I work, depending on the time of day that I work out. And so like, especially the days when I'm going to be doing morning workouts, we wake up in the morning and my kids are, what time, when are we working out? What time are we working out? What are we doing today? Because I have a gym at the house. So that is something that definitely helps from a, get it in standpoint, having it at the house. But the neat part about it is I get to actually show my kids, what that looks like working out. They join in with me all the time. So just for example, today, If anybody watching later on goes back and looks at my stories, you'll see that I did my workout outside today. So it was a conditioning workout for me. So I was out in the yard, kids are out playing, they're running around. But they're seeing me put it to practice, every day. They're seeing me actually do it. So I would say for me, that's one of my biggest motivating factors, is just showing them what it actually looks like to do it on a day in, day out basis, and just really just leading from the front on that's definitely my goal with that, is to set a positive example.
I think that's freaking beautiful, and I admire you for it. And I'm so happy and blessed that we just sat next to each other at lunch one day at the Real Coaches Summit and just started talking. And like, seeing this on your Instagram, seeing you lead from the front, it brings us to a very good point. What do we want to teach our children? Do we want to teach them that it is the norm to say, I hurt, I'm tired, and I'm going to DoorDash my food? Or to be completely counterculture and show them that exercise and eating well and doing those things is the way that we should be. And it sounds to me like, now that that they've grown up seeing it, that there may be days, and maybe I'm misinterpreting this, that you may be like, oh man, I don't really want to do this today, or I got so much to do. And then your son may walk up to you and be like, hey, what's your workout today?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I don't know, because I didn't want to, but it's going to be conditioning now. And so it sounds like they're actually, instead of a hindrance, an accountability thing for you now.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. Just because they enjoy jumping in all the time. So using them as the excuse to not do it is not an excuse at all, because they look forward to it a lot of days, joining in with it. Especially my youngest and my daughter. My oldest likes doing it too. But just as he's getting older, he has more interest of things that he just likes doing on his own too. But my youngest and my daughter, like they just love working out with me. Like I don't know where she got this from, but my daughter is the queen of burpees. She can knock out. Yeah, exactly. That's the face I make too, because I don't like them either. But I guess she's seen me suck it up enough and do some, that girl at 4 years old will put a CrossFit athlete to shame with the number of burpees that she can do in a row. Sometimes, I'm just like, calm down, girl. Like you're gonna, you're gonna destroy yourself. But she won't even be breathing hard at the end. So, already at 4, she's built up a decent level of conditioning, where she can knock out a whole bunch. And she's like, but it's not hard. So, already turning them into little athletes.
That's freaking incredible, dude. Like, I get tired and winded just hearing the word burpee, to be fair.
Me too.
Like,
Yeah.
like, and I don't really program them for clients unless it's like a 10-minute conditioning. I'm traveling and they need to do something in their hotel room kind of thing. I just think that's truly incredible. And it's a message that we should hear so often, because in our culture, it's the reason we don't work out, is because we are so busy that we're not working out because we have to do the things for the kids. Yet your kids are learning that this is the way they're supposed to be. And they're going to be the weirdos later. But the interesting thing here is that so many parents say that they would die for their kids.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, if we look at the lifestyle they're being taught of TV, DoorDash, junk food, all these things, it's like, well, you say you would die for them, but I'm watching you kill them slowly.
Yeah. Right.
And though I do understand it, because it is our culture these days, understanding and empathy are very different than condoning.
Yeah. And off of what you were just saying a second ago, unfortunately, I find, especially dads, that's something that dads will say, a lot of times. And I know moms feel that same way, but, especially dads, it's like, oh, I'd be the tough guy and, step up. But, unfortunately, a lot of dads are in bad enough shape that it might be a situation that you have to respond to physically. and it might just kill you, not because it was that dangerous of a situation, but the stress of the situation and somebody just having to physically exert themselves, even just a little bit, on top of the stress and the heart rate going. Yeah, Dad, you might die for your family, but it was completely unnecessary and almost a pointless sacrifice because you weren't concerned enough to live healthy enough for your family. So that's a conversation that you kind of have to have sometimes. So like, yeah, you might be willing to die for your family, but are you in fact willing to live for your family and take care of yourself? So sometimes it's that hard truth, where you got to swallow that hard pill and have a good reality check in the mirror.
That just punched me in the face. Um, and it's that is one of those things where, if I may share a recent conversation with a client,
Yeah.
where they said, and she may be here, but so often I hear people say, I'm proud of myself for not quitting. And that is a great thing. Once we built up the trust, I will then ask them this question. I'm glad you're proud of yourself for not quitting, but may I ask you another question? Because I always ask permission. Of course. Okay. As I understood it, when we started because you wanted to be healthy for your kids. You wanted to be able to play with your kids. You wanted to be able to enjoy your retirement with your wife. You wanted to see your grandkids. So why would quitting be an option?
Yeah.
So the next time you feel like quitting, ask yourself, what am I quitting on? Is it exercise and planning my meals, or am I quitting on my children? Am I quitting on my wife? Am I quitting on my grandchildren? And here's a challenge I give them. Feel free to use this. It is a very straightforward challenge. The next time you feel that way, and I do understand why it can be difficult. I'm not saying it's easy. I challenge you, I dare you to go walk in the bathroom, look yourself in the mirror and say, I care more about being lazy, taking a break, or being distracted by things than I do my children being healthy. I care more about those things, scrolling on Instagram, than I do being around for my grandchildren. I care more about DoorDash and, and not cooking food than I do being able to enjoy my retirement with my wife. I didn't yet to have anybody accept that challenge.
Yeah. That's powerful.
Because
Because
it is, quitting is not an option for you. Because of your children, not in spite of your children. And I just think that's so powerful. And I really respect and admire you for it. And it's
that.
something that I aim to be one day.
Yeah. That's really good, when you have some sort of external thing motivating you that's, outside of yourself, because, like people have goals for themselves, but those things tend to not be as important. Like you said, everybody's, willing to die for their family, that sort of thing. You have either, your spouse, brothers, sisters, children, all that sort of thing. And people are willing to do things for others that you wouldn't necessarily be willing to just do for yourself. So having those external factors, that's definitely something that keeps you going, even during those times where you just don't want to do it. I always ask people, when we're first getting started, what is your why for being here? Like, why are you here? What is your motivation? What is your why? And I want to always hear that from somebody, and I'll ask them several times, because a lot of times the first time you ask it, you'll get a superficial answer. I'm here for weight loss, or, I'm here because my doctor told me. But then after you kind of get into the deeper conversation, you start asking some more prying questions and you start to dig a little bit deeper. It's, I want to be here because I want to lose weight. Well, the reason they might want to lose weight is because they have a grandbaby coming, later on this year. And right now they're so overweight, they're incapable of getting up and down from the floor. And they want to be able to get down on the floor to spend time with that grandbaby when that grandbaby's having tummy time, because, that's a real thing for that first year. You're down on the floor with that baby. And if you can't do that, then you're missing out on that aspect of that kid's life. And just even now, even with the ages of my kids, that they still like getting down on the floor, and rolling around and playing and doing different things. So, when you're not capable of doing those things, it's a big deal to those people. So answering why is a big thing for a lot of people. Yeah. And a lot of times why ends up being things outside of yourself. And there's nothing wrong with those superficial things either. Those are important. But the thing that's going to get you out of bed, first thing in the morning to either go to the gym or go to the gym after a long day of work, it's your deeper why that's going to do it for you. And for me, it's my family.
I think that's really powerful. And sometimes in our society, we often hear, well, I'm enough. Well, enough for what? Sometimes we do need external motivators. And sometimes we do need those things. And if our families aren't one of them, I'm very confused.
Right.
Um, and again, it goes back to the reason you work out should be because of your family, not in spite of them. So that brings us to a perfect segue, especially with females, right? Men too, but more so with the females I work with. I hear this. I feel guilty for taking time away from my family and working out.
I hear that a lot too. Yeah. But I think it's more selfish to not take care of yourself and let your health go by the wayside, because then you can't do the things that you need to be doing as a parent optimally if you're not healthy. So I don't know if my mom is still watching right now, but I'm going to go ahead and brag on her for a second, because my mom just a couple years ago went ahead and really started taking control of her health and really started prioritizing doing some strength training. I'd been getting on, my parents for a while, but my mom finally, really started getting into it a couple years ago and has made a really big change just in her overall health. She has gone and gotten different reports from different doctors and things, and has seen, some really good increases with just strength, functionality, and all that kind of stuff. Well, just a couple weeks ago, my dad had to have knee replacement surgery, and my mom has become his full-time, caregiver. And she initially, because again, she's been very, very dedicated with her workouts, was kind of, lamenting to me how she was going to be kind of missing some workouts and stuff because of some of the different doctor's appointments and, the back and forth with, therapists coming and all sorts of stuff. And I told her, I said, Mom, don't worry about it. The whole reason you have been doing these kinds of workouts is so that way you can help other people. You know, the whole reason you're trying to be strong is so that way you can help the people in your life that are the most important to you. That's the whole reason why you do these sorts of things. Like, why be strong? Why be in good shape? Because you care about the other people in your life and you want to be able to help them when the time arises. How sad would it be if you weren't physically capable of helping the most important people in your life? I think it was a couple months back, there was a video that was circulating online, and I sent it to a bunch of my clients that are parents, and it was the most heartbreaking security camera footage that I had probably ever seen. It was in a parking lot somewhere, and there was a mom, and she was taking her grocery cart and pushing it out to her car, and had a child in a car seat, in the front of the grocery cart with all her groceries in it. And she didn't unload the child first, but was starting to unload the groceries out of the shopping cart, and it was on a little bit of an incline. And sure enough, that shopping cart started to roll, and it was rolling right towards the road because of like where they were parked, and there was oncoming traffic. Well, mom was pretty overweight. Mom turned to go to grab the cart, and because she tried to move quickly, tripped and fell, right? Um, couldn't get up. The cart continued to roll. She stood up, took 2 or 3 more steps forward, fell again. And it happened a couple times. And thankfully, there was somebody else in the parking lot who ran over and grabbed the cart, before it got too far away. But just imagine, being that mom and how absolutely helpless, she felt at that time, because she was not physically capable of saving her child. Somebody else had to step in. And, I don't know what the end result was from that, because again, it was just, security camera footage. But, I don't ever want to be in that kind of situation where, as a dad, if the, need arose, that I wouldn't be able to step up to the plate and, take care of my family in a situation like that, or even just in something, more benign than that. Because, obviously, that should have been a very easy to deal with situation. That should have not been that extreme of a thing, but it was extreme because mom wasn't prepared to deal with it.
So that breaks my heart.
Yeah.
There's no judgment toward that mom whatsoever. Um, in the fact that it breaks my heart because that is a societal cultural norm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Understanding, empathy, but also like, hey, this is a real thing. Um, and so again, it's because of our children and because of the ones we love. Your mom was the perfect example. What a beautiful example. This is why we work out.
Yeah.
It's not a, and that's much respect to your mom if she's still watching. Like, I love that so much. Like, you got another cheerleader over here. Um, Seriously, that's so cool. So cool. And it is this, the way I frame it to my clients is let's go with the mothers. Um, I understand why you feel that way. I understand why you feel like it's selfish. I consider that a generational curse and societal change that are placed upon women. So much pressure is placed upon them in that manner. Dads, it's a whole different pressure. Um, but it's this, is it selfish to take time to work out? Or do you want to teach your daughter that she should take care of herself and that all of her energy should not be expended upon everyone else? Do you
Yeah.
want to teach your son that the woman in his life in the future, all of her energy should go to be serving him? What do you want to teach them? Children are master imitators and horrible interpreters.
Yeah.
What do you want to teach them? Do you want to teach them that they should be strong, happy, and healthy and fit? And that if they prioritize their health, that they can actually give what they should be giving to the people that they love? Or do you want to teach them to be servants? Which I do have a servant's heart, as you do as well, but there's a big difference. Slave and a servant.
Exactly. Yeah. I know that's the main distinction there. And that's one of the huge benefits I feel like in having a home gym as a parent. And a home gym can be a big difference for a lot of people. Like we have a full setup at my house. We got the power rack, all sorts of specialty bars. I got multiple sleds. I've got a fan bike and all sorts of weights, dumbbells, kettlebells. You don't need all of that, to get in good shape. If you just have, a couple dumbbells, maybe a couple kettlebells, you can get some fantastic workouts at home. And then, like I've mentioned several times, just getting the kids involved. Like, funny enough, right now, that's actually what my wife is doing with the three kids while we're on this call right now. They're now up there working out with her. They were just outside working out with me a little while ago. Now they're all hanging out with mom, while she's working out. And so, they're getting the double exposure of, yeah, dad does it, but so does mom. And there was something the other day, I forget exactly what the topic of conversation was, but it was something, you were just saying about, the examples that we're setting for our daughters. It was something that my daughter specifically mentioned about how strong mommy is, and so just being able to see that, there is that expectation of strength, not only from dad, but, my daughter, she thinks of mom as being strong too. So, just her seeing that, is setting a good example of, hey, I can be like that too, so it's just neat to see them getting that exposure from both mom and dad. It's not a, or thing. It's not, just dad doing it or just mom doing it. It's that combination of, seeing both parents doing it.
That's awesome. Like, seriously, it's so true. It's so awesome. It's not the men that just should be strong. It's both. They should see us both reading. They should see us both exercising. They should see us both, to keep it simple, prioritizing lean proteins, fruits, vegetables, and whole grains.
Yep.
Like, but it can't be that simple. Sure, it can. And what would this look like if you don't have the home gym? I don't have a home gym. What could this look like for you, for your clients, for mine, for the person that's listening to this later, for the mom, for the dad that doesn't have that hasn't figured out how to prioritize that time yet? Do some body weight squats while you're brushing your teeth.
Yeah.
Do
Or
some
it could
push-ups
be,
against the kitchen counter while, like, right after you program the Instapot.
yeah,
Do something, but that's not enough. Enough for what? Enough
right. Yeah.
to start a healthy habit, enough for your kids to go, that looks fun, and start doing it too, enough to make you maybe order like the sugar-free syrup and the skim milk at Starbucks instead of like the 800-calorie latte. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. Just start with those small habits. Like you just said, you don't have to have the full setup. It could be simply go for a walk as the family, and let the kids, ride on bikes, if your neighborhood is, conducive for that. Or it could be, just the whole family go for, a bike ride if everybody can do that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, walking, that's pretty accessible for most people. It doesn't cost anything. You can just go out for a walk. If you have a spot, where you can go hiking, that's another thing that you can just do as a family. But just being active together, or just even going out and playing, that sort of thing. Again, if you're a parent, that's also something you can just do with your kids. Doesn't always have to be organized. But that's just something that, my kids, they just like to hang out and play sometimes. Like when I'm working out, like they're not always working out with me. Like my kids, they like to bring, like I've posted some videos before where they bring like their toy trucks and different blocks that they play with and stuff. And they just like to set it up because they just talk to me while I'm working out. Like they will talk my ear off, just telling me about that, like what they're going to be doing that day. And just sometimes it's just complete nonsense, just 3-year-old, just babbling on about who knows what. But he is just telling me, all sorts of different things while I'm working out. And he's obviously watching, because then later on he'll turn and he'll try to mimic the things that I'm doing. So it's not even us trying to get them to work out, but it's just having them being exposed to it as much as possible. And that's a lot of learning. That's something that, both my wife and I try to influence a lot of, because my wife, she does homeschool our kids as well, so that's something else that we have on our plate. So she's doing that. And just, a lot of that learning environment is just exposure to different stuff. Kids, like you said, kids learn by example. So that's a lot of what we're trying to do.
This is seriously one of the best conversations I've ever had on an Instagram live. So thank you so much for this. Like, man, I'm fired up. I'm about to just like, well, that's kidnapping. Like, I was about to say grab a neighbor's kid and go exercise with them, but that's illegal. I'm like 87 things. But it is so cool. And I've heard my clients say that, right? Like so many females, I'll speak to them, right? You're speaking to the dads, I'll speak to a lot of the females here for my audience. Quality time tends to be a very big love language for a lot of ladies. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful quality time and way to speak to a love language.
Mm-hmm.
Then to go for a walk with your kids. Like now you're accomplishing your fitness thing. Walking to me is the number one exercise.
Yeah.
You're getting quality time. You get to hear about their day. You get to talk with them and you get to be active with them. Like, how cool and powerful is that? What lesson are you teaching them? Or are we teaching them, hey, dad was really stressed out today, so he's going to have a beer to help with his stress? Okay, well, that's what they're going to do.
Right.
Or, hey, dad, mom had a really stressful day today. I really need to go for a walk to clear my head. Would you come with me? That's what they're going to do.
Right.
So as I say to my clients when I get very blunt is, you first. If you want your kids to have struggle with the same things, with pain, inflammation, and eating, disordered eating, and comfort eating, and all of these other things, then you first. If you want them to be happy, healthy, strong, fit, people that don't struggle with those things, you first.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100% agree.
Dude, this is so good. Like, honestly, I want to do this again if you'll join me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, Everybody watching this on YouTube, please comment. We'd love your feedback. Like, comment, share. Where can people find you?
Uh, Dan McDade Fitness on Instagram is the best place. I do post a little bit on Facebook, just Dan McDade there, but a lot of that is just the things that carry over from Instagram. I don't do a lot of posting directly on Facebook. So yeah, just Dan McDade Fitness on Instagram.
Awesome, man. Well, this will be up honestly within 24 hours. I really appreciate your time. This has been a blessing and seriously one of the most beautiful, powerful conversations I've ever had on an Instagram Live. Thank you for everybody for watching.